on the back to defend Canada. I mean, we're a peaceful country. Why are we wasting millions upon millions of our own Canadian tax dollars to build a defense against a nation that is a peaceful nation in the world eyes?
Well, why are we doing that? That's a good question. And the problem is, right now, there's way too much secrecy surrounding what Harper is spending the money on, and there's no accountability to the Canadian public. Why would you need... I was watching a video on Facebook, I believe, last week, where it was a dude running around with a camera showing this military vehicle, and the glass of this vehicle was like, I don't know how thick it was, but it could stop like a high-powered sniper rifle. Why would you need something like that for the Canadian public? The only reason you need a vehicle that heavily armored is you plan on basically killing in the masses.
All-out warfare.
Exactly.
And I've seen that video you're referring, and that actually was just a police-purchased unit for enforcement of a warrant.
Exactly.
What the hell do you need that kind of force to enforce a warrant? Who are you enforcing a warrant against that has enough of an army to penetrate? You know, I mean, who are they going after to enforce a warrant that they need this kind of equipment?
I'll tell you what it is. It's the government that wants supreme rule. They want to implement a position where they can say and do whatever they want, and you are helpless to stop it. They want basically worse than communism. They want a complete dictatorship where what the government says goes. You don't have any more rights. Your rights are what they say we are, and that's what we're heading to. It's absolute power corrupts. That's what this is all about. It's absolute power going to their heads. And why do they want to have that much armor for a warrant? Because guess what? They don't want to be overthrown. It's the same reason. Why would you want to be overthrown when you're getting a cushy paycheck and getting your life handed to you on a silver platter? They don't want to get rid of that. That's what it all comes down to. They don't want the Canadian public to overthrow the government.
But my question is, with the kind of defenses they're stepping up, who the hell are they afraid of?
The people. That's why I'm saying we have to stage a coup to overthrow them, because they are more afraid of us than we really are afraid of them. That is where it comes down to, and they want to make sure that they intimidate you into not standing up, which, you know, at the moment, they've successfully done. They've successfully intimidated the Canadian public into sitting there and being idiots. And just saying, oh, well, I'm just going to accept what you have to say, officer, because guess what? You're a law enforcement. You must know the law. We all know that's not true.
Well, I mean, obviously, this averts to, intimidation tactics. While we're sitting back wondering why in the hell our tax dollars are being thrown away on wasteful defense spending, frivolous vacations for our prime minister to places like India for supposed trade deals, which we know really he's just vacationing and enjoying the sights on our Canadian dime. I mean, great examples of this. I mean, the millions of dollars that we spent engaging the royals for the royal visit in their lavish lifestyle to make sure that they were absolutely satisfied with their Canadian visit to the maximum. And also, I mean, the lavish amount of spending that we've had with Prime Minister Stephen Harper on his tour, even in India. I mean, what in the hell does our Prime Minister need to spend $65 million or even $20 million on an armored limo for himself in India that he's never going to bring back to Canada and use again?
You want to know why? Because once again, us the Canadian public, are once again too docile, and we're just letting him do that. He basically is now in a position with a majority government where he can spend umpteen bazillion dollars on whatever he wants, and the Canadian public, who have told me I don't care about politics, basically have told Harper, go and spend my money however you wish, go and spend $1,000 a night on a lavish hotel. Go, please, waste my money. When we say we're not interested in politics, we're saying, please, misuse my money. Please, suppress me. That's what we are saying. And this is where I started Scandal Core Media. I've had enough of this attitude. I hate this attitude. And that's why us, the Canadian people, are sitting here getting our rights suppressed, because nobody says they can't.
Nobody's taking a stand, as you suggest. And, I mean, why are we not taking a stand? I mean, it's quite apparent that the people outnumber the government well over 100, even 1,000 to 1. But we're letting them walk all over us, waste our money on their frivolous lifestyle. And to boot, they're getting paid well over $150,000 a year to sit on Parliament Hill It's absolutely absurd to me. When I ran for member of parliament, and I have to say I was somewhat perplexed at the large number of benefits that these people receive, like their $2,000 or $3,000 a month car allowance, their $3,000 a month living allowance, over and above the $130,000 a year that they're being paid to sit in an office in Ottawa and pretend like they actually give a shit about Canadians.
Well, that's just the problem. And us as a Canadian public are basically saying, well, I don't care about politics. I'm not interested in politics. You know what? They've successfully, they've essentially brainwashed us into accepting it as reality because the problem has become that the media has portrayed politics as a very boring issue. It's very boring to talk about. It's boring to just sit there and, oh my goodness, I'm going to sit here and just listen to politics all day long. And they just say...
Well, I'm bored at sitting and watching childish antics. A bunch of grown men argue like school children in a building that's supposed to be for our Canadian affairs.
And you know what? This is the thing. I commend our First Nations on this because actually a couple months ago they stormed into Parliament and said, we want a voice. And you know what? They got escorted up by security. You want to know the attitude of our current government? If you storm into the building, you'll be arrested. Why? Oh my goodness, you couldn't possibly do that now. I couldn't possibly hear from a citizen of my own freaking country. Now, come on! You can't do that. That's their attitude now.
But I thought Parliament was open to the public. If it's open to the public and you want to have a voice, why is it that you're being removed from... Why is it that people are being removed from Parliament for trying to have a voice?
Because they want absolute power. They want a system where they can say and do what they want. That's what we're going... That's where everything is leading to with the military spending. They want They want a military-run state where the military will literally patrol the streets eventually. Eventually, in the next, I guarantee you, 2 decades, we're going to have tanks running down our street at nighttime, flashing high-end lights into your home and checking up on you. It's literally going to turn into communism.
I thought that we would have learned our lesson from Berlin.
Obviously,
on that one.
Obviously, we haven't. And obviously, again, the Canadian public are too docile, are not interested enough in this topic, and they're just accepting what they hear at face value. And they're saying, oh, I'm not interested in politics. You know what? You want to... This all comes back to the attitude of, I'm not interested in politics. That has got to be the worst attitude anyone could ever take. I understand that politics might be a boring issue, but to not be informed is to say, I give you my rights, I give you my money, please step on me. That's what we're saying.
So we give them the problem. What you're suggesting is that the problem with Canadians is that we give them full-blown permission to just sort of trot us under their feet like dirt on the ground and treat us like the dirt that we are. I mean, it's quite apparent with their lavish lifestyles that we're funding that they are being treated a little too well for their own good, and that is going to their head, creating an ego and a persona that they believe they are actually above the people, and they are not any longer representative of the people because they're in government.
Well, that's why I have talked to many people about the idea of having politicians' salaries voted on instead of having it guaranteed, because that's why you get the system that you do. Why would you have any desire to change anything for anybody if you have a guaranteed life handed to you on a silver platter? Why should you change anything? Because guess what? You don't have to. You have a guaranteed $130,000 plus per year handed to you on a silver platter. It doesn't matter if you work at all. And that's why we have what we have. They go, well, you know what? I don't need to help you. I don't need to listen to you because guess what? I don't have to. If they got paid, I guarantee you, I once heard a number of years ago a saying that said, you know what, put politicians on minimum wage, watch how fast things change. That's where it all starts. You lower their wage, and if we have their wages voted on that says, you know what, this person's up for a pay raise, what do you think? And they say, well, you know what, they haven't done much for the public in the last little bit. Okay, wage increase denied. You know what, if their wages actually were dependent on how much work they accomplished, we wouldn't see the candidate we do today.
Most definitely not. And I mean, obviously, there's politicians who sort of facade as being for the people, but behind closed doors, they're sitting in their lavish desk laughing their asses off at us going, yes, your guys are a bunch of idiots. I mean, I have no other way to describe politicians in Canada today other than they're like the bad boyfriend. He gets what he wants and then he never calls again.
And that's exactly what we have is, you know, these got Now, granted, you ran for power, and you know what, you were sincere in what you were trying to accomplish, and you were one of the honest people. But you know, unfortunately, too many people before you have said, you know, I am for the people. I will do what you ask. Please tell me your wishes. And when they get to Parliament Hill, oh, screw you. I don't have to listen. Ha ha ha! I fooled you. That's exactly what happened.
So do you think that essentially the reason that our government has been able to run rampant, frivolously spend our tax dollars and get away with it is because people just don't care? They've become used to the fact that the government misuses our money, the fact that they facade as somebody who cares, somebody who they can trust, and then never, as I said, the bad boyfriend who never calls. And I mean, do you feel like, I mean, we've ourselves created this state of complete complacency because we just don't care. We've perceived this attitude that, oh, it's politics, we can't change it, but we're the problem.
Well, that's just it. You know, and the times I've been on the street interviewing people, again, the attitude is, you know, I'm not interested in politics. Well, I think that that becomes part of the issue is nobody's interested in talking about politics. And unfortunately, politics is inevitable to any government system, and in order to sustain a system where the government actually works with people, people have to start getting interested in politics. It's just one of those topics that you need to get informed on in order to be a productive citizen and to actually know what you're talking about, because I think that that's contributing to the complacency, because once again, Parliament has made politics boring.
But how do we get that interest? I mean, politics is boring. It's a bunch of old farts in their late 40s to late 70s sitting around stroking their beards going, what the hell is next? I don't know. I've been doing this for 30 years.
Well, honestly, this is where I use the students in Quebec as a good example. You know what? They're the ones standing up saying we've had enough of the corruption, we've had enough of it, and that's exactly what we need in all cities across Canada. We need people to stand up and say we've had enough. And you know what? 250 is a pretty good start, but we need millions. And the more people that are out protesting and saying we've had enough of this tyranny, enough of this government, the more successful we will be. And unfortunately, we're again at a point where it's going to have to, I think, end in a civil outbreak. That's just where it's heading.
Excellent. Well, once again, we reached the end of our show here. Thomas Stone with Scandal Crew Media. Thank you so much for joining us in studio here tonight. We really appreciate having you and your input here. Once again, just a few announcements before we wrap up here. Once again, a big shout out.
Bring the bass.